All right. Hey, welcome back to the Let's Talk podcast. Over the last couple of months, we've talked with different staff members, which has been kind of fun to introduce them. And we'll continue some of that, probably have some other leadership on here as well. But what we wanted to do today is there's a lot happening at the church. If you've been around even for a few weeks, you understand that growth is happening. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
here, but also just a lot of moving parts. We have some issues with space, we have some issues with building. And so this is something that I'm excited about because we've been talking about different ideas, different changes, all kinds of things for many years, but now there's starting to be some plans. So what we wanted to do today was kind of come on here. If you weren't able to come to State of the Church, the Wednesday night thing that we're doing every fifth Wednesday, we're going to give you some of those details here. But I think it's just important for us to have these conversations. Where are we at right now? Where have we been? Where are we going? And then kind of give some insight into you all. We are going to start an overflow space here in the next couple of weeks, and really by the time that this airs, it'll be this next Sunday,
Yeah.
and we want you to be aware of it. We'll talk a little bit more about that, and so yeah, we just wanted to hop on here and talk about where we're at, where we were. So, Brad, let's talk a little bit about where we were. Let's think. In the last couple of years, where we were to where we are now. Like, what does some of the growth and all that stuff look like for us?
Numerical growth, we've in the last 3 years over doubled,
Right.
which is scary because that says our average attendance now is over 500. In 3 years, we'd be over 1,000
Right.
if we continue to grow at the rate that we're growing right now. I think more than anything else, the growth has just been a growth of excitement that has then produced numerical growth.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're more excited about. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
Yeah. And we've had that conversation. We just started reading a book as a staff. Multiplier. It's not the multiplier idea comes from people individually, and it's not something that we've done kind of a growth campaign. We've talked about this. People are just excited. And because of that, we're seeing kind of this idea of people multiplying, saying, hey, let's bring our friends, let's
Let's
invite
bring a
our
friend.
people. And so, yeah, you're right. We've seen those numbers grow like crazy over the last couple of years. I said this in our first men's elective the other night. You know, telling people, "Hey, Overflow is probably coming." Just some ideas, some insights, and based on some of the numbers we've seen. And I said, not that it's all about the numbers, but there is a book in the Bible about numbers.
It's called
God,
numbers.
God cares about the numbers as well, but it's deeper than the individual number. It's the person that's being counted.
Yeah.
And so, those things are indications to help us realize, oh gosh, we've got to start doing something. And really, we're behind the eight ball a little bit
You're
on making some
you're
changes.
building your room will only hold so many.
Right.
I mean that's just the reality of it before it becomes number one before it becomes uncomfortable.
Right.
But then like your room will only hold so many,
Yep.
and then people can't come.
Yep.
So we're not 100% full, but
No.
in our second service we're well over 80% full some
Yep.
Sundays. So it's past time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we're behind the eight ball, and people say, "Well, you should have done something," but like it happened pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I remember 6 years ago when I started. I started in COVID, and so there was three services at the time, but there was only 50 people allowed in each service.
yeah,
So that's what I came into. And then it ebbed and flowed over a few years, but really, um, we couldn't have made the change that we need to make within the last 3 years when it comes to space and
yeah,
buildings. I mean, there,
yeah,
even at this point, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we couldn't afford to do anything like that.
yeah. And I think that comes with the spiritual growth.
Right.
As you grow spiritually, as you mature in your faith, you're more willing to give.
Right.
Some of I mean, we're not a wealthy church in a wealthy community.
Right.
So we don't have that big money flow that it takes to build. Two befores aren't getting cheaper.
No.
So it is hard. And just trying to figure out okay, what's our next step? What's the best move we can make? Where can we get the best bang for the buck? But we want to reach people with the love of Jesus.
Yep.
So really, let's just keep focusing on that.
Yep.
God's going to open doors as we grow, uh, and we just look at it. We look at it as an experiment. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how I'm
Right.
approaching it. Let's experiment and see what works.
Yep. And we talk a lot about, um, we're not shooting for a number here at church. Man, if we could get to 1,000 or if we could get to 2,000, but the idea is if we're baptizing people and things are happening, we got to make room for them. They've got to have a
Yeah.
seat to be in the room and to be discipled and find a place to belong. And so that's our goal. Last I think it's a couple weeks ago we said we had 400 people at church. It was in the summer, and that was a down week. And we joked and said that used to be the best
That
week that
used to
we've
be the
had
best
all
week of the
year.
year.
But the last 8 weeks,
Well, 2 weeks ago, Matt, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we broke our all-time Easter Sunday attendance record,
it was
or
maybe
we
not in
were
the last
right
year or
at
two.
it.
Yeah,
Uh,
628 is what we had. I think we might have had over 700 at Easter this year. But
okay.
like I think we did break the Sunday record. That's not a holiday. You know what I mean?
Yes, but we were close to the holiday record.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, people are coming. We've got to make plans and we got to do something about it.
yeah, and even larger than that. I mean, we talk about a clear path here at Poplar Ridge. Like,
Yeah.
what's my next step? What do I, if we don't have room for people to step into their next step, if it's classrooms for small groups, if it's, hey, we have kids and our children's ministry don't have space to do quality ministry,
Yeah.
we're making it hard for people to mature in their faith and take their next step.
Yep.
So, we want to, go make disciples. We want to make disciples, and we need the space to be able to do that.
Yep.
Or we need to figure out how to be more creative in using the space that we have.
Yeah. And we've toyed around with thousands of ideas on how to do that. And even our Sunday morning groups or classes, Sunday school, like a lot of those classes are getting full. It's just, I mean,
We
it's,
just had to move one to
yeah.
our youth room because it outgrowed
Yep.
a large classroom that it was already in.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, we say all that. I mean, this has been conversations we've had for a couple of years of, hey, there's a building, there's gonna have to be building plans, at some point, or we're just gonna be stuck where we are. And if God's gonna continue to bring people to us, we want to disciple them. And so, last year, for about a year, we prayed. We ended up with 40 acres of land after we really only wanted 8. I think was the first offer that we made, or 12.
12? 12?
And ended up with 40. And so I believe it sets us up for the next how many ever
Yeah.
years. We could continue to add on there if we wanted to, and there's a lot that could be done on that property. But let's talk a little bit about the construction process that we've been in. Again, we've had conversations for years. Man, it'd be nice to have this. Man, it'd be nice to have a new building. It'd be nice to have different spaces, more classrooms and all that. But we weren't ever in a place where we could do it. It was always just like, we'll figure it out one day. But now it's like, no, we have to sit down and make plans because we're already years behind. Because say that we had the money today to build a building, it's
It
going to
would
take a
still be
while.
2 to 3 years before we'd be in a new building.
Yes. And so, talk a little bit about, we've been meeting with Burwell Construction. We've had them come
Mhm.
in. Tell us about some of those options that we've seen. The meeting we had, I guess, a week or two ago. That's kind of getting us closer and closer. But tell everybody about that stuff.
So nothing's off the table
Right.
because we're in a position where uh, we have to create seats and parking spaces.
Right.
So that's the first thing, and like, what do we know? We know we need space. What else do we know? We don't have the money to do it immediately.
Right. Yeah.
So we're looking currently at what phases, what creative steps can we take that give us space to worship together, to create disciples, um, the facilities that we have,
Right.
or what are our options?
Yep.
So long term, I picture a new building up on Poplar Ridge
Yeah.
that seats a minimum of 750 people with a children's ministry in the same building,
Yes.
not separated. My preference is that would connect to the Christian Life Center so we're not spread out all over the 40 acres,
Right.
but also on the 40 acres that we would use it strategically to reach our community, walking paths, dog park.
Yeah.
Those I would love to see an outdoor venue uh, for those kind of things, and accessibility to people who are looking for a church and people who don't go to church.
Right.
Throughout the community. So I think that is long term. Short term, what we do know, we realize really quickly is we're not going to get there overnight. So we got to figure out some strategic phases, and
Yep.
and phase one will be an overflow room.
Yep.
um, I think we have a really good plan for that. I think it sets it up to succeed, and
Yeah.
it'll be relational. I We're looking at a phase two of potentially either that growing into another
Yeah.
space, um, or we've even looked at some. Is there the potential to remodel our existing sanctuary to include knocking some walls out,
Yep.
uh, a balcony, rearranging seating capacity where we could get 50 to 100. Both of those ideas are short term fixes.
Yes.
Long term, we got to make a decision of whether or not we want to start the carousel of multiple services,
Yeah.
uh, 3 to 5 every week, or we're building a building,
Yep.
um, or we're going to satellite off campus,
Yep.
and do a fully out there satellite.
Yep.
Um, so right now, our leadership feels pretty convicted that like we want to stay together.
Yeah.
Um, we're not looking at planning or satelliting
Right.
off campus. Uh, but I think they're open if that's where they feel like the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit's leading.
And I
Um,
think that's part of the conversation. Not that we would ever say no for sure. We're never going to satellite do another campus, but that's not the first priority. If I think there's a possibility once we build a building, we fill that one up, and then it's like okay, we might have to
yes,
go off
yeah,
campus.
I think that's phase 7.
Yeah, whatever that is. But I mean, that was, as we go through a lot of this process, we've thrown out all kinds of ideas. It's like, well, do we renovate our gym? But there's a lot of money that goes into that. There's already been a lot of money that's gone into that building.
Yes,
And we use that building almost every day. I mean, there's people in our
and
facility from the community doing basketball practices or birthday parties or events. And that's who we are. We want to have people doing those
yes,
things. So,
if we utilize it for worship, we're going to cut down our ability to utilize it for
right.
anything else.
Yep. And
Um, and we don't. I don't. I don't like that idea.
yeah.
I want it to be usable. I want us to be
Yep.
able to have pickleball tournaments
Right.
and those kind of things in there. Also, it's not conducive to what we do on Sunday morning.
Right.
So it would take a lot of money
Yep.
to make it sound good,
Yes.
to make it feel inviting.
Yep.
Um, and we've already spent a lot of money
Yeah. Yeah. And, not that it is an option. It's just not our preference, not our
there.
first
It's an
option.
option. It's just not our first option,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's a good option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, no, that's my personal viewpoint because
Yeah.
it's more space, but it takes space away from the overall ministry.
Yep.
And what we do on Sunday morning is not the only thing we do.
Right. Yeah. And so there's that. We've been meeting with Burwell Construction, and they gave us some ideas. That was one of them. Another one was a new building, kind of where the new parking lot is, or a little bit further. And then there was one where where our current space
Yeah.
is. We'd have to rearrange and maybe tear some stuff down. But to connect the buildings, and that was great for us to see. But we were like, no, we need to go deeper with these plans. We need to know what the next step is. So we, a week or two ago, I think it's 2 or 3 Fridays ago, had a meeting with them, with some leadership and some people in our church, buildings and grounds people, of hey, how do we use our space? What do we want it to look like? And I think now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but now as they do that planning, I don't know how long it takes, but soon ish, we're going to see like potential building plans.
I think within a month we begin to see preliminary phases.
Yeah.
Like in phase one, here's what we would recommend. 2, 3, uh, an overall entire campus
Yes.
plan.
Yep.
Like here's where your walking trails kind of could be, and then building plan, not architectural drawings,
Yeah.
but rough. Like here's where it would go. Here's what it would look like. Here's what it would encompass.
Yep.
So that meeting, what 25, 30 of us in a
Yep.
room. Here's what we need. Here's what we like. Here's what we don't like. Here's what we do. Priorities were a big part of that.
Yep.
Because it really doesn't make us any better if we build a building that doesn't match our need.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but also match our priorities.
We're going to invest a lot of money into it. So we want it to be something that we can do. And, that's another thing. We've been meeting with Christian Financial Resources, and they offer insight into how to do this kind of fundraising and all that stuff too. Because let's be honest, we probably, neither you or I want to sit down and have to ask people for their own money, but, it is an invitation for people to be a part of what God's doing. And it's still hard. But people like Christian Financial Resources, they don't just do that. They help with, estate planning and stuff like that. But we are meeting with them as well.
That's going to be a partnership that'll be really important for us because one of the things that they brought up when we talked to them is a year-end giving plan that we've never utilized here at Poplar Ridge.
Yep.
But every nonprofit in America does that.
Yep.
So if I'm invested in my home church, why would I give to United Way or the local animal shelter? Not that those are bad things, but why not give to Kingdom Investment in my local church at the end of the year?
Right.
So, and those are extra resources that go into, a building plan, a making room, an overflow type situation that is very much needed now. Right. So they opened up the door for a lot of, we're going to start we have making room, but we're going to start hitting that as we move into the fall and into 2027, which is hard to believe. Move into 2027, we're going to pick up on those things. We'll have, as much as I don't like doing it, we'll have another sermon series in 2027 that deals with giving.
Yep.
Because 2x4s cost money, and you can't build buildings without them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's over half of Jesus' teaching was about money.
Yeah,
and it's not just giving. Of course we talk about that here, but there's a reason why he spoke about that, and I think it's because it's one of the hardest places for us to trust him.
I mean, if you're not willing to sacrifice a few dollars, are you going to sacrifice your life?
Right.
I mean, deny yourself, take up your cross.
Yep.
Is how he describes being a disciple, and if you're gonna have a hard time giving money, you're gonna have even harder time giving your time, your talent, your life, to him. So, we're not asking for your firstborn. We're not even gonna give you a dollar amount. We're just gonna say, hey, here's what we're doing as a church. Would you invest in it?
Yep. And I think it's, we've talked about Cam Huxford a lot, and that I think they do a giving series every week. Well, not every week, a money series every year.
Yeah, he told me they did one every year.
And it's, the idea is, think about the marriages that are struggling. A lot of it has to do with money.
Yes.
A lot of the hard issues and the things we have deals with money. And so whenever we do that series again, or some sort of series like that, don't just see it as, hey, please give to the church. That's not all it is.
I would even say don't see it that way at all.
Right.
I would say invest in kingdom work.
Right.
When I give to my local church, I'm giving to the mission of the church. I think it's an act of worship first and foremost.
Yeah, it is.
But then beyond that act of worship of just me personally giving God back a portion of what He's blessed me with, it's that investment into, hey, I would even say check out the missions we support.
Right.
Check out the ministries. Align yourself with. You shouldn't be attending a church that you don't agree with.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm in full agreement, then I'm investing in kingdom work. When I give on Sunday mornings, I'm investing in the ministry of Hispanic
Yep.
and Kids to Christ and Fellowship of Christian Athletes
Yeah.
and children's ministry with Casey Blevins. And,
Yep.
I'm investing in the totality of what the church does.
Hmm.
And I think it's easy to forget that when we're just passing around the
Right.
plate
Yep.
or just making an online donation or however it is that you do that. Um, but it's kingdom work. And, as we step it up, we, it, I mean, we just want to step up the ministry.
Yeah.
I watched the video. I think you saw the video because I think we talked about it. It's
Yep.
like, what could you do if you spent the same amount of money,
Yeah.
in ministry or in a foreign country that you're spending on that building? But in reality, what can we do more if we have the capacity to double
Right. Right.
uh, in size, in energy, in effort, in
Yep.
ministry? So that's, that's what we want to be good stewards, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we want to make disciples who then go and make disciples.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that video specifically, Joe B. Martin's church building a $5 million facility, and everybody had the question, well, yeah, but you could feed the homeless with that, or that's true. That is really true.
I think that come up with Jesus as well.
Yeah, and then, um, but then after they've built it, they've got like 30,000 people in their
Yeah.
church now. But he's like, we donate like 17 million a year to Compassion. Is it Compassion? No, not Compassion. Compassion Kids, right?
Yeah.
Overseas where they're supporting
Yeah.
them it's just like they couldn't have done that if they didn't spend that initial $5 million investment. Because again, if you don't have space for people to come into the room, then you're never going to get there.
You don't get the audience that
Yep.
says, "Hey, will you sponsor a child?"
Right. Right. So again, I think that there could be some valid arguments there, whatever. But I think you have to understand it is that kingdom investment. I bet when we built facilities in the last 50, 60 years, we were like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest thing we've ever done. And now, 25 years down the road, we're going to look back and say, what a blessing.
I think in most churches, until you get past that mega church, even beyond that, but
Right.
like for us here at Poplar Ridge in 1991 when they built the newest sanctuary, like that there was a time when they would never imagine that would happen. In 2001, we built the Christian Life Center. It's like our youth group was meeting in the basement of a house when we did that, and it's like now we're filling up that building.
Right.
So this next move will be one somewhere down the road. People will say, ah, but that's really not that big of a deal. But for us right now, it's huge.
Yeah, seeing some of the price tags we've seen
Yes.
with Burwell, we're like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, how are we going to do this? And the good news is, we don't have to do it by ourselves. We have a creator that's there with us, but it
Yes.
is still scary. I think we see it throughout scripture all the time, taking those steps of faith.
Yeah. And I think until we get to that point, then we adapt and overcome. We make the best of the
Right.
situation. We do what we can with what we got, and that's creating an overflow service.
Yep.
So we're going to invite 4 to 5 or a number of groups to meet in a room. Our service will be streamed.
Yep.
We'll have a site host. That room right now is going to be the Pathway room.
Right.
We have the massive screen.
We just bought a 100-inch TV for
Yeah.
in there.
Down there. And that group, because we're inviting our small groups into it, it's relational.
Yep.
So it's not just, hey, come if you're late,
Yeah.
which I hate.
Yeah.
Come if you feel squeezed, come if you don't like crowds to our overflow. This will be more intentional with that relational intent of come with your people
Right.
into this.
Yep.
And it's going to be an invitation,
Yep.
not a requirement. It's our prayer that our most committed members who are involved in small groups will accept the invitation and be a part of kingdom growth, because this is what we see it as. And we're going to invite those groups once a month.
Yep.
To meet.
So you just got to come one time a month.
To meet in the overflow.
One Sunday.
And it's just second service. So some of our first
for
service for now. Some of our first service people is like, what about it? Like, if you come first service, we're not.
Yeah.
We have space.
Yep.
So we're not pushing this first service. We won't even utilize it for now.
Right.
But second service, if your small group is invited, if you go to first service.
Yeah.
But if you're coming to second service and you're invited, come to the overflow room.
Yeah.
Be a part of that relational gathering and worship time down there. Um, and I think it's going to be a positive thing. And
Yeah.
as it grows, it'll open up, we think, 40 to
Yeah.
50 seats um, in the main worship room. That gives us more space to grow in the future. And I really think that that's still going to happen.
Oh, I do too. And I emailed all our group leaders with a schedule, last week and said, hey, here's your weeks to come and be a part of Overflow. So if you're in a group, ask your group leader if they haven't told you yet what week you're going. But also, if you're not in a group, feel free to come. Like feel free to pick a week
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's going to be weeks where not everybody in a group is going to be there just because that's just life at this point. And also, some of the groups that we have scheduled are first service groups, for some of
Yes.
them. And so I got that question yesterday. Hey, what do I do if I go to first service? Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And, there might be a chance soon where is going to be an overflow for first service because, 220 people in that service. We add 50 more, we're full.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just
Very
trying to
much so.
think through all that stuff too.
And then we also say here at Poplar Ridge, everything's an experiment.
Yeah.
So we know this thing isn't going to be. It's not going to be perfect. First Sunday, you drop in the overflow room.
Yep.
There's going to be a glitch. Something will be
Yep.
wrong. Somebody will be messed up.
Yep.
I mean that's just how we roll.
Yep.
But we're going to work on it. We're going to get it. We're going to do it with a sense of excellence and try to make it perfect. It won't be, but we'll try. um, but I think it progresses and it's relational to where I think we'll have people who enjoy it.
Yep.
Um,
I think so.
so I think it gives a space. I could see it growing and moving either to the
Yeah.
youth room or to the gym eventually.
Yep.
Um, but that gives us time to start, you know, ramping up the making room campaign,
Yep.
generating the funds, getting plans in, seeing what our next options. Phase one, a overflow. Phase two, probably a larger overflow.
Yep.
Phase three, according to what the engineers tell us,
Yep.
can we expand our existing worship center, um, or is it build?
Yep.
If we build, man, this is something that people say, well, let's go to the Christian life. Like if we build, no matter what, we're going to end up having to have a temporary worship place.
Right.
So that may be on campus, but it also may be off campus.
Yeah.
So some of the things that, you know, we're considering is just looking at spaces off campus where, for a few months during construction time, we may be in 4 different locations. I mean, we may be talking to our local middle school and high school,
Right.
and doing a service at each one of those, or
Yep.
meeting in a local restaurant or movie theater for a time until we can
Yep.
uh, be together. But we want to utilize. I think for me, the key is I want to utilize what we got
Yes.
to its maximum potential before we step out and spend money that we don't necessarily have to spend.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it isn't about who's got the most people in the church building. It isn't about who's got the biggest buildings. It's about loving Jesus and introducing him to people who don't know him.
Yep. Yep. That's
But
the goal.
Our building just gives us the opportunity to do that with more people.
And part of that conversation originally was, can we go to the high school? Do we need to do that service? Do we need to rent a facility to do an overflow? And it's like we do have space here.
We do.
We talked about the youth room, and we threw out our initial idea was,
I want to do it live.
yeah, let's have a live team, live worship team, live preacher, which would have been kind of interesting because it would have probably been, and churches have done this before, even local churches have, worship all up front in one while preaching is happening in the
Yep.
other, and then they flip flop and they go and switch. That could have worked, but a lot of scheduling to try to figure out. We've tried the 3 services thing. That wasn't the best
It's a
thing in the world
dumpster
either.
fire.
But it kind of, and we actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do we make this happen. And then we were just like, you know what? Let's start with the live stream in the full service at the beginning.
The wisdom of our elders.
Yes.
Like I wanted I wanted to do the track thing and run from
Yep.
place to place. And they're like, that's great initially, but
Yep.
you're going to get tired.
Yep.
So let's not start tired.
Yep.
Let's take this smallest, easiest
Yep.
by, or less complicated, not
Yeah.
easiest,
Yeah.
and live stream it. Um, so, like, I thank you guys for being wise. Um,
Yeah.
but eventually it may end up being a live thing.
Right.
But we know our first step is going to be this. Yeah, we did. We whiteboarded like a lot of ideas.
Yep.
We are blessed at Poplar Ridge. We have probably 5 to 7 guys who could get on the stage and
Yeah.
preach,
Yep.
um, as good as any of the others or
Yep.
any of us. So it wouldn't be a big deal to go to another room and have somebody else speak.
Yep.
The worship piece takes sound equipment and
Yeah.
musicians,
Yep.
um,
Singers.
and singers, and
Yeah.
that's more difficult because most churches aren't blessed with a multitude of those.
Right.
Um, we have a really good staff who can speak.
Yep.
And we were a home for a lot of retired ministers for a
Yep.
while, and still are.
Yep.
So we have that piece, um, but it's just doing it live is more complicated.
Yep. And
So
I think that is our preference, but it's smart to start this way, And it's one of those things where if we would have started live, you couldn't have gone back to live stream. I feel like, but you start live
yes,
stream, and then if we feel
and
like
then if
we
we
could
feel
pull
like
it off,
we
then
can
maybe
pull
we
it off,
could
we
later.
can. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what that overflow will look like. I mean, it is fully live streamed. There's not going to be a preacher down there. There's not going to be a worship team down there. But we're going to have a host. There's going to be
Yes.
somebody there, making sure things run well. If the TV turns off or whatever that skips, we'll figure out how we can help them there. Communion's still going to happen in that same room. Everything that you experience in the live set is going to be on the TV, yes, but you're going to have everything there as well.
Everything in the overflow room, just like or very similar to the main room. Site host, we'll have one each week.
Yep.
Communion will do it a little bit different,
Yeah.
obviously because of space and time, and that's fine. That's great.
Yep.
That site host will have to be um, creative at times.
Yeah.
If things fall apart, they're going to do the welcome. They're going to fill in the gaps. We're going to have a staff member or a senior leader in position till we get those trained and ready to
Yep.
go. But yeah, it'll be on the screen, but just as relational is our
Yeah.
ultimate goal.
Yeah, and for things like communion, we might have you get up and go get it, and like in the size of the room,
Yes.
just because
Yeah.
it is a little awkward. We've sat through and watched previous week's services in that room, and it's like it is a little quiet for a little too long during the
Yeah.
communion time, just because it takes a while to pass it upstairs, but it won't
Well,
downstairs.
you're passing it 250, 300 people
Yep.
upstairs, and you got 40 to 50 downstairs.
Yep.
It's just a different time frame. So those things will be different. Announcements may be different.
Yep.
But you also got it's a smaller crowd, a little more freedom.
Yeah.
If I'm sneaking in some biscuits for
Yeah.
second service crowd, that's a lot of biscuits. But if I'm sneaking them into the overflow room,
Yep.
it's a little different ballgame. I can probably pull that off occasionally.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that side of it that's a little bit different as well.
Yep.
A little more freedom, I think, to be
Yep.
vulnerable and transparent and relational, that you may just not feel in a larger setting.
Right.
With
Yeah.
more
And,
people.
we always give those invitations at the end, saying, hey, do if you need to accept Christ, you just need prayer, whatever. That's what that site host is going to be there for. too,
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
of course, you could go upstairs and talk to one of us that
Yeah.
just got done preaching, but there will be that person in the room. And yeah, maybe we'll have some coffee down there for you or something when you come in. But I think another thing we need to tell them is if you bring a friend on
Oh.
the Sunday that you're supposed to be down there, don't go down there.
Yeah.
Go to the main worship service.
In our mind, if we look at the overflow, this is for our most committed members of Poplar Ridge.
Yep.
Like, hey, we're going to go down here to make room for new believers and for new growth.
Yep.
Um, if I'm bringing a visitor, take the visitor up to the live
Yes.
worship room and be a part of what's going on up there.
Yep.
Um, and maybe that's a new growth. I don't want to go to Overflow. We'll bring a friend.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's for this is. I don't like the word sacrifice because I don't think it is a
It's
sacrifice.
not that big of a sacrifice.
But I think it is like, hey, this is something we're doing to make room.
Yep.
This is an investment.
Yep.
To church growth.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a seat empty so that somebody can bring a friend.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be. I think it's going to be good. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's going to have to make us. It's going to make us think through what we do on Sunday mornings, programming wise, because there's going to be people looking at it from a different angle.
yep.
You know, when we kind of sit through a service, it's like that offering time was really weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's that weird in the main room.
Right.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Especially for a visitor.
Yep.
So I think it is going to help with that as well. So that's coming up in like a couple weeks.
So this podcast will release on August 25th, which is a week away for us, but it'll release on Tuesday the 25th. If you're listening to it,
So the 30th is the first.
the 30th is the
Overflow.
first one. So if you're listening to it the day it drops or that week, I mean it's Sunday.
And you're preaching that.
I'm
Sunday.
preaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got out of it.
Yeah. So
you get to mess it up first.
That's right.
So I'll be the site. I guess I'll be the site host.
Probably.
For Overflow on the 30th.
And we kind of said that's a fifth Sunday. It's also Family Sunday. So if you don't have a family, and you're willing to say, hey, or kids,
yeah,
everybody has a family, but if you don't have kids that are going to be in service with you, I would encourage you come down there and sit. We've asked Andy Sweeney's Sunday school class to meet down there on fifth Sundays. They'll have 4 extra sacrifices every year.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have kids too, and we want them to be in service. And so if you're in second service and you say, you know what, my kids aren't in here, I'm going to go to that service. And again, that's an invitation for any week. There are 45 seats in that room. We could add a few more if we had to, maybe get up to 50, 55. It'd be tight, but we could do it. But yeah, it's coming out the week before it happens. So
August 30th.
And then that'll just continue every week. Now, there might be some weeks where we're like, we might have a special week, special Sunday, or, Christmas play. I mean, I guess maybe we could have it open for that. But there might be Sundays we'll just communicate of, hey, we're not going to have it this week. Like the week after Christmas, may not have it.
May not have it.
May not have it,
By then, we may have to have
it.
So we may have
who
it
knows?
for 2 services. So,
yeah.
That's why we always say everything we do is an experiment. Let's see, we're going to do it and see how it goes and see it. By then, this thing may have blown up and we may be doing something totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, we were saying September's coming. It's still not September. We've already hit over 600.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it's going to look like in 2 months.
Right.
But I do think, if we look to the future, this is just a first step.
Yep.
So if you're committed to worshiping and being a part of God's church at Poplar Ridge, like, buckle up because you're probably going to experience some changes.
Yep.
One of the things that we've picked up recently is when the church changed, everybody in the church should change.
Yeah.
Not just this particular group or that particular group. And in the past, we've protected groups.
Yeah.
But I think we're at that place where, like, it's just different.
Yep.
And leadership is shifted out of necessity. It's different leading 600 people than it is leading 200 people. There's some things we can do better. There's some things we can't do as well. But we do know that moving forward, we want to be faithful. And in that growth, like, we have to adapt and overcome and figure out how to minister to the more.
Yep.
And be faithful in sharing the gospel and let God take care of who responds.
Yeah.
That's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to be faithful, but we do need to make room for those who respond. Yep. And that's what we're trying to do. So I would just, like, this is a first step.
Yeah.
This isn't the end. This
Yeah.
isn't the goal. Um, this is. I don't even know that if me and you go to lunch, this is not even an appetizer.
Yeah.
This
Right.
is the waitress brought some silverware and a napkin out.
Yeah, and we had that conversation in an elders meeting a couple weeks ago, and it's like, okay, building is, we're looking at potential building, but that's a few years out. And Andy Sweeney said, we need to know what's happening like in a month, and that's
Yeah,
why this became that first step.
I don't even think the building is our future.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know what it ends up being, but I could see us satelliting, planting,
Right.
sending out the young men and young women to start churches.
Yep.
I don't know that we need another church in Bristol or Piney Flats or Johnson City. There's one around every corner, but like, let's just start ministry
Yep.
and love Jesus and love our community. So, um, I think this is, I think the thing that it really excites me about, like, overflow is happening. We're seeing this church growth, but then we're seeing this. Hey, we need backpacks, food
Right.
for elementary.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Matt, this week I've had like 12 texts. Hey, I want to help with that.
Right.
We're starting this new thing with, we used to do baby showers.
Hmm.
That's hard to do when you're a church of 600 because
Yep.
you don't know when people are we just don't know everybody, but we're starting this new ministry. We call it the Stork Basket, where we just deliver baby stuff to
Yep.
new moms' homes, like, and the excitement of those new ministries.
Right.
Watching people plug into our children's ministry and youth ministry, and I was at the local high school this week and seeing our people there and our
Yep.
staff there.
Yeah.
Uh, like, there's just a lot of things moving, and I think this overflow and growth conversation is just a piece of a much bigger picture.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. All kinds of there's always all kinds of opportunities to get involved. We talk about this a lot. There's like we are one of those churches. We've been around 184 years, which means we've had 1,000 things that we could do, and some things that we still do. That are always there and always have been. And so there's a lot of opportunities. There's Sunday morning worship, there's Sunday school classes, there's Wednesday night stuff for kids, there's Sunday night stuff for kids and students, and blah blah blah. There's stuff for adults, there's groups, there's tons of things you can get involved in. And we've had the conversation a lot recently. Just because we offer these things doesn't mean that you're a better Christian.
No,
You've got to take the personal responsibility and grow. It's great that you come to these things, and we'll tell you about those in a second. But understand, you as a follower of Jesus has to make the decision. Hey, I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna get closer. I'm gonna spend my own time with Him. And so when we tell you about all these opportunities, understand their tools and their resources.
yes,
And so coming up, this is gonna end. Launch at the end of August. We've got men's and women's retreats that are happening in the same month, 2 different weekends.
yes.
One's I think in Gatlinburg for the women, and then the guys is at Camp ACC.
Appalachian Christian Camp.
All this stuff, I don't have all the details for all of it. It's on our app and on our website and emails and stuff. So check out those things. Um, Wednesday night electives. Those have gone well. It seems like for the last 2 or 3 weeks with our men's and women's elective. We got more coming up. Prayer and apologetics. We're going to talk about redeeming the screen and some kind of legacy class towards the end of the semester too. Again, plenty of Sunday school options, groups, all that stuff.
Men's breakfast kicks back
Yeah,
up.
September 5th, right?
First Saturday of the month, September 5th. So that's a whole new,
Yep.
lot of relational equity in that
Yep.
group as they come. And really, there's nothing. We just eat breakfast, and
Yeah.
somebody maybe shares a two sentence, three
Yeah.
sentence thought, and that's what we want it to be. It's just, we want it.
Yep.
Hey, let's just get together and hang out and love each other.
Yeah.
So
And
that's coming up.
ladies Bible study. I
Ladies
think, is
Bible study
on
start
Thursday
back
morning.
up. And like you said, those are tools.
Yep.
184. Next year is 185
Yep.
years. So, we've customarily done homecoming, but it really isn't. The last few years, especially, hasn't really been a big event.
Right.
Um, so next year we're gonna schedule a homecoming and blow it up,
Yep.
like a whole weekend type deal,
Yep.
um, and just celebrate 185 years of serving the Lord in Piney
Yep.
Flats. So there are a lot of those festival,
Yep.
uh, but really looking at those things as tools and opportunities. Ultimately, our goal from the elders and the staff is that everybody who comes to church here finds a place where they can grow in their faith
Yep.
and become a disciple maker,
Yep.
become a multiplier.
Yes.
Everything up to that point is just another step to that point.
Yep.
Um, and another opportunity. The big events are places where you can invite people that are comfortable,
Yep.
that you can eventually open up a spiritual conversation. Uh, Marriage retreat, that
Yep. Yeah.
men's retreat, women's conference. All of those
Yep.
things are just opportunities to multiply. Basically, what we want to do is multiply disciples.
Yep.
Um, and you can't do that if you're not doing anything.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I've got in my notes here. Let's talk about what it looks like looking ahead. I think we've done that. I think we've had a lot of that conversation already, and what we've already talked about in the last 46 or so minutes. And so let's just move to what can people do now? Like um, I love having these kind of conversations because it is exciting. But for somebody that just comes to church here, and maybe they're plugged in and involved, they might ask the question, hey, I'm not in the meetings for building plans, or I'm not in, the meetings of planning ministries and all that. Like, what can I do as a church member? Yes, we want you to multiply. We want you to be a disciple maker. We want you to be involved. But like, what practically can they do right now? If they listen to this conversation, they're trying to figure out what's next at Poplar Ridge for me. What can people do?
We did go back, like you asked, what's it look like 6 to 8 years from now? Like, let's not think about that question. Let's think about what's it look like right now and what's my place in it.
Yeah.
So, I look at it like a journey. We look forward to going to a destination
Yep.
and miss what can happen on the way there.
Yep.
Like a lot of us ride in a car with the windows rolled up, just looking out the window, watching the trees pass
Yeah.
by. And what I want us to do is, open up the convertible
Yep.
and turn the music up and like enjoy the journey a little bit.
Yeah.
What can you do? Do what you do. Just do it here
Yep.
and do it with people and talk about Jesus while you're doing it.
Yep.
Um, I think that's the beautiful
Yep.
thing, and where we don't miss the opportunity to just be who God created you to be for the kingdom.
Yep.
And if that's an electrician or a teacher or a coach or construction worker, like, just go and do it for the kingdom. What would it look like if all of our construction workers decided they would build stage sets or
Right.
walls that got shipped to Mexico that become a house?
Yeah.
Or, what would happen if all our people who sing really loud in the car, well, not bad, decided they didn't mind doing that on the stage?
Right.
Or if, those people who love to cook decided they would cook a Wednesday night meal and not just show up when they had to show up.
Right.
I just think, enjoy, pray. I think let's start there because
Yep.
from now until the end of the year, the elders want to have somebody fasting and praying every day specifically for the direction of the church.
Yep.
So sign up for a day
Mhm.
or a day a week or a day a month, however you feel led to do that, to pray for the direction of the church. So prayer and fasting.
Yep.
I know me and Sean have talked about us coming up here and doing that together one day a week, fasting at least one day a week as we pray about the future of the church. Um, give.
Yeah.
Seriously, look at your finances and say, hey, I want to invest in the kingdom
Yep.
in a fresh and new way, and really like own some responsibility for where the church is going. Don't waste your talents in your occupation.
Yeah.
Utilize your talents for kingdom work
Yep.
inside the church.
Yep.
Somebody needs you to do what you only you can do for the kingdom. Um, you know, it just it it bugs me that we have a lot of teachers and educators and people who work with children, but we still struggle to get volunteers for our children's ministry.
Yep.
I, we should.
Yep.
We have enough people to staff
Yeah.
3 churches.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like so I would say let's do those things.
Yep.
Um, and then I'd say continue to share what God's doing with your circle of influence.
Yep.
Um, now, I think that's the most important thing we can
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
do. But don't ride around with the windows rolled up, bored with the journey.
Well, we always said in, youth ministry, on the way to the trip, try not to put your headphones in. You're riding in a van; it's uncomfortable.
I think it should be a
But
requirement. If you're going to put your headphones in, you have to sing out loud. I don't mind that if they're
yeah,
singing out loud.
and that was part of that is, hey, be with the people that you're with.
Yeah.
That was always fun. So, one other thing I forgot to mention, if you're newer to Poplar Ridge and you haven't gone to our pathway class, that's a good next step for you. We just had one back in or beginning of August.
Full.
25 people, I think. We had 31 signed up. People weren't able to make it. And we had a lot of people that said, hey, I can't sign up because I won't be there that
We had
weekend.
150 that we should have invited that we were not able to invite because we didn't have space for.
Yeah. And so
we're doing another one.
Yeah, September 20th. Typically what we do is 4 a year, each quarter. That may change to 6 a year. We'll kind of see what numbers look like. But we did decide, hey, September 20th, we're going to add one in. And so if you're interested and you haven't been to one, that's a way to do it. October 25th, I think, is the next one as well. And so, we do the Join the Church Sunday about 2 or 3 weeks after Pathway. In case you want to join, you can join anytime.
Yeah.
And we don't have a whole lot of policy and procedure on how you do that. Anyways, but I get a lot of questions. Do we transfer membership? Do we do all that? And we're like, if you want to, you can, but we're not. We'll help keep track of some of that, but it doesn't. Our thing with membership is you're putting on the Poplar Ridge jersey.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't get a membership card or nothing like that. So,
and there's certain places in the church if you serve.
Yeah.
Like we want to know that
if you're teaching, if you're leading a group,
that you're committed
Yeah.
to the church at Poplar Ridge.
Yes.
And I don't think that's, if you're investing in the future and you got a free microphone,
Yeah.
To speak truth into groups, then we want to know that you're committed to the church.
Yeah. And aligned with what we believe. And
Yeah.
one of the things I love about Pathway, and I say this every class, is if this isn't the church for you, that's okay.
Perfectly fine.
Like, go find somewhere that you can grow.
We won't be mad at you.
But we want you to come to Pathway. We want every member to come to Pathway if that's possible. Just so you can figure out who we are, and we can figure out who you are.
I would rather you not agree and not align with us and leave.
Yeah.
Than like what we do on Sunday morning, stay and create problems.
Yeah.
For yourself and for us.
Yeah.
So it's a interview us and make sure we're the church that you want to be aligned with.
Yep.
Because we don't fit everybody.
Right.
And we're okay with that.
Yep.
There's,
as you said, tons of churches around.
All kinds.
And there's tons of good churches around. That would be a good spot for you. So.
Yeah, we're not the only good worship guys around, and we're not the only good preachers around.
Yeah.
We're not we're not the only good church around.
Yep.
There's all kinds of. I have dear friends at other churches that do phenomenal ministry, phenomenal work. We're not going to be mad if you decide to go to one of those.
Yep.
But if you do decide to go here, we want you to know what we believe and where we're at.
Yeah.
So
yes.
you know what you're getting.
Yep. So, anyways, that's an option if you're looking for a next step there. So, all right, if you've been around for the last hour of this conversation, thanks for listening through the whole thing. This is the longest podcast we've had for this, but I think we had to dive into some things, figure out all the details there. So, if you've been listening, thank you. There's going to be another episode next month. Hopefully, I believe we'll be interviewing somebody, and so Yeah, appreciate it. Let's
Yeah,
let's let's
thank
go.
you.
We're excited. Make sure you come to Overflow if you get a chance to. So, but
You should sneak down there and just
yeah,
sniff it
just see
out.
what
Just
it's
see what
like.
it's like.
Yeah, at least to go see the TV.
Yeah, yeah,
100 inch
yeah.
TV.
I'm thinking a movie night
Yes, I think it'd
down
be a good
there.
spot for it. So,
Yeah.
anyways, hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.